Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the Game Dojo, and this is 24K, movies, reviews, TV shows, and games. Thank you for joining me on this humble October night as we crank out another great one for you. So, I was going to do my favorite entry in this series, if you could not have guessed by the JPEG, Nightmare on Elm Street. But since there is so much ground that this movie series covers, including a TV series, not the one that's getting ready to come out. There was a one back in the day, in the 90s. It was called Freddy's Nightmares. I own both seasons. A lot of you may not have heard of it. It was an awesome show, and believe it or not, Robert Englund himself. It was kind of like Tales of the Crypt, where they have a bunch of different stories starring horror, and Freddy was like the Crypt Keeper. He talked to you, he saw you before the commercial, after the commercial, he introed the story, he outroed the story. Robert Englund did this. This was actually pretty cool. Not to be confused with the Friday the 13th series, which had nothing to do with Jason. But let's jump right in. So, this is not going to be a blow-by-blow of the entire 8 or 9 movie genre. I believe it's 8 or 9. There's been a lot of entries, and unfortunately, they also had a reboot. I think that reboot was in, what, 2010?
Yeah.
2010. 2010 was the reboot. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to give you a full sandwich of a story. So, if you do not know, Frederick Aloysius Krueger was the janitor of a local school who was burned to death by the parents who decided, maybe he was a touchy-feely with children, so they figured they would burn him in his boiler room. And as he was on fire, he told them he would come back and strike at them where they could not protect their children in the dreams. And thus, the legend of Freddy was born. He attacks kids in his nightmare. Well, that's not exactly true, because anybody's ever watched the original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knows Freddy cheats. He does not wait for you to go to sleep. If you blink too long, if you nod off, Freddy's got you. And it's not like Jason or Michael Myers. See, he's an iconic character because he can do anything. He could be a freaking bottle of water, a piece of toast, freaking Pop-Tart. You go in the kitchen in the morning, you're making breakfast. Little Michael, thought you had one, but I've got you. They just stick you in the neck. I think the appeal of Freddy is he's a party animal. He's fun. And you're not supposed to root for him, but how can you not? He does the coolest things. The beach, the shark, the nurse with the tongue, the needles, the crushing a girl in the Roach Motel, the replaying of people, the martial arts, like ripping open his chest and you see a bunch of little heads and stuff screaming. I mean, he's an awesome character. Whoever came up with him, which I would have to say somewhere is in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Get it? Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That was the Wes Craven's. Forget it. Anyway, he is a nightmare creature, but he will party, and that is the appeal of Freddy the Man Krueger. Now, in the first movie, we were treated to one-star character early in his career, and that was Johnny Depp. Now, the crazy part is, I would have expected for them to have like a mainstream character in all the movies going forward, but they didn't. The fan favorite was Heather Langenkamp. That was the fan favorite, and she made the reiteration back in the series with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was weird because that was a play on it happening for real and him coming out of the movies into real life and possessing her son, and it went very off the beaten path, but it was still very good. Of my entire favorite during the series, I would have to say it's the one, I think it's part 3. The one where the girl has the mirror and all her pictures of all her friends are on the mirror, and as they get killed one by one, she takes their pictures off, but she inherits their essence, their power. Was that part 3?
That was, I think, part...
Was it Dream Warrior?
I think it was 5.
Was it Dream Master? I don't think it was 5. Anyway, whichever one it was, where she takes the pictures off the mirror and she inherits their power, including her brother's martial arts power.
It was A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Dream Child.
Which is 5, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 5. So 5 is my favorite, absolute favorite in the series, because I love the fact that she inherited a martial arts skill like a video game. And then she was just badass. She put his little bandana on, and she was fighting Freddy with nunchucks and stuff. Like, to me, that was awesome, because when it comes to a horror movie, nobody knows how to fight. Nobody ever fights Jason, really. I mean, there was that one time in Manhattan where somebody tried to fight him on a roof, and he got the Mortal Kombat fatality, uppercutted off their head. But same thing with Michael Myers. There's nobody that really, well, Busta Rhymes fought Michael Myers, but once again, like I'm saying, these are weird iterations. There's been nobody to take it to one of these actual big horror icons. But in that movie, she just got tired of losing her friend. She got tired of being afraid. So she took her power back and developed their essence and went. She actually went into her nightmares to find him. And it's not like back in the other movies where she calls out Kincaid and they get pulled into their dreams. Damn you, Kristen. Kristen, keep my name out your mama mouth. Yeah. Somebody should have said Will. Will Smith should have went back there for that one, because Kristen could not keep her name, keep Kincaid or the other dude. Damn, Kincaid. All I can think of is Kincaid right now, but it was another dude that she called into their dreams. And
Joey.
Yeah, Joey. Freddy is dead, Kristen. He is dead. Not if she keeps dreaming him up and bringing him back, and then the dog peed fire and it went around the grave and he came back, and it was crazy. Like I said, Freddy is off the wall. Like, there's no linear progression of his powers and who he is through the entire story. And I'm not gonna hate too much on the remake or the reboot. Let's just say it wasn't my cup of tea. I prefer my Freddy, Robert Englund. No offense to the guy who looks like the Scarecrow in the new one. He wasn't Freddy-esque. He wasn't Freddy-ronic. He wasn't the Krueger that I've come to know and love. And it's just like Jason. There's been many Jasons. I prefer hotter. So let's just say in this series, I prefer Robert Englund as my Krueger. No disrespect to the Scarecrow guy from the new one, but I prefer Krueger my way. Robert Englund. So anyway, Freddy is basically tormenting the children. And it says it's Nightmare on Elm Street, but it doesn't always take place on Elm Street. It takes place throughout the whole damn town. So it should be Nightmare in wherever the name of the town was. It shouldn't just be Nightmare on Elm Street. And the first movie found its way. It was actually pretty damn frightening. Pretty damn frightening, actually, if I remember when I think about it. The only thing to me that was cartoonish that really didn't land was at the end of the movie where he yanks the mom through the door, through the little peephole in the door. I don't know. She kind of looked like she was a blow-up animal. But I will say, in the very next movie, I was blown away by not just Freddy driving Christine and a Christine version of himself, and that, oh my God, mwah. If I could find that version of that Freddy car, Freddy as Christine, that whole, oh, mwah, mwah, it's great. But I also like the fact that he got on the school bus. Let me tell you something. When I was a kid, I rode that yellow school bus like everybody else. And it was always frightening because it seems like there was never any kind of seat belts or restraints, and you're just being trusted. A whole boatload of children being trusted to this person driving you to school, and they could just literally just go left and just take all the kids, and it's a scary feeling. It really is. So the fact that Nightmare on Elm Street took that encapsulation thought, and Freddy really did it, because as they was driving, everybody was happy and on the bus, and then when they could have went right, they went left, and then the shit got real. And when the shit got real, everybody got scared, and now it's Freddy, and then I don't know how he makes a turn left, and then all of a sudden they're in the middle of the desert, and then the ground falls away, and then they on these gigantic pedestals. It was frightening. It is the shit of nightmares. So Nightmare on Elm Street is a perfect coin phrase for this genre because that shit is a nightmare. Matter of fact, a lot of the things were nightmares that were crazy. Now I'll say after 5, the story started going differently because the times and the changes with the world had changed, so it was a little bit different. I didn't mind Freddy versus Jason, but I know it's the thing everybody wanted to see, Freddy versus Jason, but to me, it's like Alien versus Predator. I don't give a damn because in the end, we all lose. It don't matter if it's Freddy or Jason. They're going to stab our asses off. We don't win. Alien versus Predator. It doesn't matter if it's Alien or Predator. They both kill us. We don't win. We don't come out on top. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I like every movie stepped it up and tried to outdo the other. And like I said, that school bus scene, beautiful. Another scene that comes to mind, when they're in the hospital and he ties up the guy with tongues.
Joey.
Yeah, ties up Joey with tongues. Another nightmare scene. And see, the thing about Freddy is, this is way before woke culture. Freddy didn't give a damn. He could be a woman, he could be a man, let's suck face. I remember the phone thing with the tongue that came through the phone. I love Freddy's approach to coming after people. It's out of the norm. It's really out of the norm. Like, completely crazy out of the norm. I think I remember in Freddy vs. Jason, he went into Jason's nightmare where he was a kid or something and he poked his eyes out with finger razors. Like, it don't matter who you are. Like, Freddy goes after you. It doesn't matter. His only problem is Jason was killing all the people for himself and not sending the souls to Freddy because they were supposed to be scared, and Jason just stabbed their asses off, so he had to come back from hell. If you want something dumb, you gotta do it right. But that was Freddy vs. Jason. Okay, so another one that really sticks out in my mind that was pretty damn awesome is there was a scene that just kept repeating. The girl thought she was getting in her truck, and the guy got in the truck and they drove away so that they could go and save somebody, and while they're on the road, they literally just get out, run out the truck, and then they're in front of the gas station again, jump back in the car, and they just keep doing this over and over again in the scene until they realize that they're asleep. Perfect. That's also the same one where the lady is bench pressing and she's lifting weights and she turns into a roach and Freddy just fucking crushes her in the roach motel. You gotta be out there where the buses don't run to come up with shit like that. It's nightmares. Complete nightmares. Complete, utterest nightmares. That boiler room, the squeaky sound of the finger knives scraping against the wall. How sweet, fresh meat. Like, he had lines for days, but he is a character. And I think that's the appeal of him. Is not only will he kill you, he has fun doing it. Jason is all work. Michael Myers, they're all work. They get there, they stab your ass off, then they bounce. That's just what they do. Freddy ain't about that. He'll turn you into a dream. You can go on the beach, go to high school, you can go to the mall. Like,
Freddy's all about playing with his food.
Yes, he savors it because the more scared you are, the more fear you have, the more you taste better to him, and the more energy you give him. Like I said, insane. Totally insane, but I love it, hands down. So, literally the entire series is littered with crazy. Even Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I like the approach of it, but it made it real. It turned something that was film real, and that could go either way. I mean, there were some parts that were great that landed, but there was also some parts that didn't. The little kid who played Heather Langenkamp's son, I didn't really like him too much as an actor. I've seen him in a bunch of other things. I think it was like Kindergarten Cop, but I've seen him in other things. I didn't really care for that kid and his acting, so yeah. Part 6 was the same for me. I think once you got past 5, they had become a franchise and they were just looking to outdo the previous movies, and not everything landed for me. I was hoping with the reboot that I would be more interested in the story progressing, like they had a chance to make it their own, but once again, I was let down. He didn't have the energy and the fun that Robert Englund put into this character. I mean, he walked around looking like a burnt pork rind. But he handled it. He handled his business. Like, he didn't care. Like I said, the funniest thing is, Freddy is supposed to be, if you fall asleep, Freddy got you. But that's not how it happened. None of the time. You just be sitting there in the chair and you just blink too long. You wake up, and something be different in the room and you hear him laughing. Like, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't fall asleep. Yeah, you did. He caught you in the technicality. You close your eyes too long, it counts as asleep, Freddy's got you. And it's not fair, because you can't stay up forever. People tried to no-doze, to stay awakes, and everything like that. And then they get to the point where they're like, listen, if I fall asleep and I seem like I'm in trouble, I need you to help me. Help me out. And that would work, except for the person that was watching you would fall asleep too. Because they're watching somebody fall asleep. Yeah, Glenn. Thanks, Glenn. You had one job, and you fell asleep during it. But I like it when people took the power away from Freddy and went after him. Because you never see somebody stand toe-to-toe with Jason, Michael Myers, or Chucky. I mean, they try to, but nobody stands toe-to-toe with them. Period. They're beasts. They're pure, unadulterated, beastly muscle. And even though this is a even though this is a Nightmare on Elm Street, I have to mention Friday the 13th for one reason. Jason, for a dead man, a deadite, his weight piece progressed as the movies went forward. Freddy stayed the same, lean, red, and green shirt. He stayed the same. His weight piece stayed the same. If anything, he lost weight when he got a little bit more. Jason, he just got bigger and bigger. I'm like, are you lifting weights in hell? Like, is there whey protein? Is there like a great gym membership in hell? Because my man was getting it in. By Jason 8, when he went to like space, no, 8 was Manhattan. By the time Jason went to space, he was so diesel and so big that he couldn't turn his head. He had to turn like Batman. He had to literally turn his whole body. He was blue. He had a six-pack on his neck and on his head. His head meat was around the mask. It was sticking out like a meatball. Like, I don't know what Dad did for him health-wise, but his weight piece went up. Freddy stayed lean throughout all the movies. He got a lot of running to do. You know, he got a lot of physical stuff.
Maybe with every kill that Jason did, he gained momentum and gained mass, maybe?
I don't know. Because Fred was in hell too, because he took his mask to hell, but I ain't see Freddy eating good in the neighborhood at all. So I don't know if there was no Arby's down there where Freddy was, but Jason Voorhees, that boy was eating some steak. He was eating meat. That boy was big. For a dead person, he gained much weight. In the words of James Franco from This Is the End, that fucker's gained weight. We lost weight. He gained weight. Yes. But where to put the Nightmare on Elm Street series as a whole? Because if it was individually with movies, I would tell you, part 1, platinum. Part 2, platinum. Part 3, platinum. Part 4, platinum. Part 5, platinum. Part 6, gold. Part 7, gold. Part 8, silver. The reboot, silver. So those later entries bring down the rating a little bit. But let's just say if we were doing 1 through 5, it would be a true platinum rating, the highest we give here in the Game Dojo. But since I have to include the entire series, including Nightmare on Elm Street the series, because that boosts the rate back up, because that was a platinum series. If you don't have the ability to watch it, go and try to find it on DVD. They just re-released it not too long ago when it started streaming. I don't know what platform it streamed on. I think it was Hulu. No, I don't think it was Hulu. It streamed on a Max. Yeah, so it streamed on Max. But find it and watch at least one season. If you liked Tales from the Crypt, if you like what is that? Tales from the Dark Side. If you like any one of those anthology series that had different stories, but they were of horror and they were really great.
Streamed on Tubi.
Yes, and Tubi. It streamed on Tubi. That was the other one I was looking for. You need to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, the series. Awesome. Now, including the entire series, where do I find it? I would have to say 5 platinum, 2 silver, 2 gold. So the tiebreaker would have to be Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, and that is platinum. So we're going to raise this up to the series as a whole is gold. We'll split the difference between silver and platinum. Gold. 24K, gold. 24K rating for the entire series. And that's including the leniencies, the drops, the changes, the recasting, the story. Like I said, the earlier entries is where I live. I'm not going to exclude the later entries because they're part of the series, and Robert Englund did play them all but the reboot. But they weren't my cup of tea. They were good to watch, but at a certain point they just became mindless killing. Just mindless killing. There was no more fun. There was nothing we hadn't seen before. Like, they could have done things new. Like 1 through 5, I guarantee you, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's something different in each movie that you haven't seen before. I know, because I watched all of them. And each one, I'm just, that's a new one. That's a new one. That waterbed scene, new one. This is the series that made me terrified of getting a waterbed, because I would move the blankets and see Freddy underneath there looking at me, but it was a naked woman. Now, here's the thing. Which one of us wouldn't move our sheets, see a naked woman, be like, hey? See, but that's the thing about Freddy. He turns that passion into a friggin' nightmare. So he saw the naked woman. Of course, he's looking for her. Where's she at? Where's she at? I want to see the naked lady again. Here comes Freddy, and he yanks you down. And now the blood is everywhere. And then the mom came and moved the sheets, and there he is floating in the waterbed, which I'm quite sure the cops would have had a question or two of how he got in there and resealed it. But apparently his death was ruled a suicide somehow. They must live in Derry, because I don't know where their minds went on that one. How the hell did he put himself in it and reseal it? Can somebody answer that one to me?
Maybe the town just doesn't care.
Or they forget, like Derry. Maybe something happened. And there's also a story lore that he was falsely accused of molesting children, and they murdered him unjustly, which is why he came back for revenge. I don't know if I like that better than him actually being the pedophile that they caught and burnt in the basement in his boiler room. That was actually
in the 2010 one, where in the 10 one they said that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
But it found out that he did do it.
Yeah. So, as a whole, the series gets 24K gold from us here. So when you're doing your movie marathons this Halloween, and you have your ghosts and goblins and killers and zombies, you know how we feel. You know what zombie movie we chose. You know what killer movie we chose. You know what creature movie we chose. And now it comes to the iconic killer, the big quattro. Jason, Michael, Chucky, Freddy. You gotta have Freddy in the mix.
And if you want to, for shits and giggles, you can watch the Leprechaun dude, because he's another awesome one.
Yeah, but he's not part of the Big Four. I'm talking about from the 80s to the 90s, the Big Four was Freddy, Michael, Jason, and Chucky. There you go. Freddy, Michael, Jason, and Chucky. They were the big horror icons of that time frame. Later on, the other people came in, Leprechaun, because if I do Leprechaun, then I gotta do Pumpkinhead. So there's other people. That's for another video. Anyway, that's for another video. But for this video, like I was saying, out of the 4 big ones that you're going to watch, you got to watch your Halloween, because it is Halloween. You got to watch your Friday the 13th, because a man without the mask would be what? Exactly. So you need that one. You know our favorite entry, part 6. Part 6. You know our entry. Nigga, get the ambulance! That's our favorite one. You know that one. Chucky, I've been a fan of the new series that came out that's on Sci-Fi. I love the Chucky fan series. Now that he's in the White House, I don't know where they're going with it, but I'm on board. But I will say, out of all the Chucky movies and TV series, 1 has always been my favorite. Will remain my favorite. They struck gold with it. And out of the entire series, when when Chucky became a little bit more comical, the first one at its heart is still a straight horror movie. The Charles Lee Ray, the Brad Dourif thing, like there was no funniness and jokes in it. It was just terror, and it was frightening. And for that reason alone, that one will be my first. So you got your Chucky, you got your Michael, you got your Jason. Now you need your Freddy. And which Freddy is it? Because there's so many Freddys. You can split the difference and do Freddy and Jason in one movie. Freddy versus Jason. That's a win-win. You get Freddy, you get Jason. But I would say if you're going to choose one movie in the franchise, I would say anyone from the first to the fifth. And if you want to see Johnny Depp die, stick with the first one.
If I were anybody, the first one and the third ones are my heavy favorites, and it seems to be everybody else's heavy favorite because Heather Langenkamp was in both.
There you go. One of the first 5. You can't go wrong. 1 being a fan favorite, 3 and 5 for me being a fan favorite too. But you can't go wrong with any one of those. So there you go. There's your Freddy choice for this October during Halloween. And thank you for joining me for another movie review. And we did a series this time. And there might be something to that. I like the fact that I can touch on every movie in a series, even the ones that might suck. Now, there is rumor that Freddy will be back in some form of reiteration. I don't know what it is yet. Unfortunately, we live in a time now of copyrights and big brains and procedures, so we don't know.
The rumor has it that Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp are going to make another Nightmare, and the only reason Robert agreed to maybe do it is because Heather Langenkamp is attached to it. He says if she's not in it, he's not in it.
Well, see, there you go. So, until that bears fruit, you have a host of Nightmare on Elm Streets to watch, but I would say do 1 through 5 to start off. Do 1 through 5. You figure each one is about an hour and some change. You're talking about maybe 6 or 7 hours out of your day. So you can do a marathon. It'll do half a day. So yeah.
You best get yourself up at 7 o'clock in the morning to start this this little marathon too, because that's the only reason how you're going to get through all of them.
Well, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from the Game Dojo, that was another one for you. The Nightmare on Elm Street series. And like I said, if you can find the TV series, watch it. I won't steer you wrong. If you like Tales of the Crypt, if you like Tales from the Dark Side, you're going to love Freddy's Nightmares. From the Game Dojo, we out of here. See you next time.